So let's create a project. Specify the project name. Let's take my project name is SQLite test is a project name. SQLite test is a project name. Click on this next. So create an empty activity. Finish. So first we'll complete the UI part. We'll complete first. Then we'll write the SQLite database logic. We'll write. Okay. So first we'll create 4 text boxes. We'll create. So one is for ID, name, designation, and department. So I'll do one thing. Rather than by using this drag and drop, better we'll go with the XML creation. Just give me 5 minutes. I'll complete the UI part. I'll complete in 5 minutes. So like this total, we had to create 4 edit text components. We had to create. So like this total, we had to create 4 buttons. We had to create insert, read, update, and delete. So insert, read, update, and delete. Okay. So now see the design. So now we created the UI part. We created 4 buttons. We created. Okay, 1 second. So we created UI part we created 4 text boxes and we created 4 buttons we created. And even we'll get these UI components and we'll configure these methods, we'll configure in the activity class, we'll configure these methods. So get the data from these edit text components. And we created 4 buttons we created in the XML, and we configured the click event also we configured. Now we had to create these 4 methods in the activity class. We had to create these 4 methods: insert, read, update, and delete. So insert, read, update, and delete. These are the 4 methods. Okay. So now here, before going to select this insert button, first what we had to do is, if you want to insert the data into database, if you want to insert, first of all we had to create a database. We had to create. First, what we had to create? We had to create what? One database. We had to create first. This is the first thing. We had to create one database. We had to create. Then after that, we had to create one table. We had to create in the database, because directly we cannot perform this insertion reading operation directly. We cannot perform on the database. We cannot perform directly. These operations we can perform on table only. We can perform. So first, what we had to do is, if you want to perform these operations, if you want to perform, first we had to create a database. We had to create. Then we had to create what? One table we had to create in that particular database. Then only we can perform. So these 4 operations we can perform. So if you want to create a database, if you want to create SQLite database, if you want to create, so there is a class called SQLite Database is a class. So we had to create an object for, before going to insert the data, first we had to create the SQLite database object we had to create. Let's create the object for SQLite database. Let's create the object for what? SQLite database. So SQLite database, just we declared here, we declared a variable for SQLite database. Now initialize this SQLite database. How you will get the SQLite database object? Have you remembered what is the method name? Open or create database is a method. Open or create database is a method. We had to specify 3 parameters. We had to specify for this method. First parameter is the name of the database. Second parameter is the mode of the database. Third parameter is the cursor factory. So specify the first parameter, the mode of the database. I'm specifying the mode of the database is emp_db is the database name. What is the database name we specified? emp_db is the database name we specified. emp_db. Okay. So with this name, if there is no database, it's going to create a new database. The database is already available with this name. It is going to get the data from that particular database. So there is a first parameter, database name. Second parameter is the mode of the database. Second parameter is what? Mode of the database. I told you, right, there are 3 possible parameters to specify the mode: context.mode_private, context.mode_world_readable, and context.mode_world_writable. These are the 3 possible parameters. So here we'll specify context to dot, so mode_private, meaning if you specify private means the data is only specific to your application only, other application cannot access your application database. And third parameter is a cursor factory. It's an optional parameter. It's an optional parameter, will make it null. So you'll never get a requirement of using that parameter, and in the specification itself they specified it's an optional parameter, just make it what? Null. So by using this statement, we are creating an object for SQLite database class. We created an object. By using this method, we created an object for what? SQLite database. Meaning now we created database we created. Now we created this database we created, but directly we cannot perform the operations on this database. We created a database but directly we cannot perform this insertion, reading, all these operations we cannot perform on the database, we cannot perform. So these operations we can perform on the table only we can perform. So here, after creating this database, now we have to create what? A table we had to create. We had to create a table we had to create. Okay. So if you want to create a table, if you want to create the SQLite database object dot, there is a method called execute SQL is a method. This exec is there, right? Execute SQL is a method. We had to specify the SQL query. We had to specify in the double quotes because there is no any built-in method for creating a table. We are having these are the four built-in methods: insert, query, update, and delete. There is no any built-in methods. So if you don't have a built-in methods, then what we had to do is we had to write our native SQL queries. We had to write. We had to execute that one by using this execute SQL method and raw query. This raw query method is only for reading, and apart from this reading, if you want to create, insert, alter, update, or delete these operations, if you want to perform, then use the execute SQL method. Let's write the SQL query here. If you want to create a table, if you want to create, what is the query for creating a table? Create table, specify the table name. For example, I want to create a table called employee is a table. In that employee table, what are all the columns you want to create? Let's specify the column names. I want to create an ID column I want to create and specify what is the data type. Okay, what is the data type? So we'll write the logic. Meanwhile, we'll run the application because it will take some time to start this virtual device. Okay, so parallel it will execute. It will start in the backend. Meanwhile, we'll write the code. Okay, SQLite database object dot execute SQL is a method. We are creating a table. We are creating. What is the table name? Employee is the table name. What is the table name? Employee is the table name. Okay. So in this employee table, let's specify I want to create a column called ID is the column name. ID is the column, and you have to specify what is the type of this ID. So it's a number type. I'm specifying the type as number is the type I specified. ID I specify the type as what? Number is a ID. Second thing is I want to maintain name. And what is the type of this one? Name. Let's say I want to maintain the string type of data I want to maintain. So I'm specifying the type as varchar is a type I specified. I specify the type as what? Varchar is a type I specified. The total length of this one is 50 characters is the total length. So I specify the length as what? 50 is the length. Then after that I want to maintain designation. I want to maintain designation varchar of what? 50. Okay. Next department. Department varchar of what? 50. Okay. So now we created a table. We created programmatically. We created what? A table we created programmatically. Create table employee. The four columns we are creating. ID is a type of number, name, designation, and department. Okay. So if you run this application, first time it is going to call this on create method is going to call first time. So it is going to create a database. It is going to create with the name empdb is a database name. It is going to create on database. It is going to create with the name empdb, and it is going to create on table with the name called employee is what? Employee is the table name. Okay. So we'll run the application. Let's see whether it is created a table and the database or not. Let's run the application. I want to install the app in emulator. I want to install the app. So still it is loading. So we'll wait for a few minutes. So here, by using this statement, whatever we return, it is going to create a table first time without any errors. Without any exception, first time it is going to create a table with the name called employee. But when you run the application second time, what will happen? It is going to give an exception second time. Reason is nothing but See, first time if you run the application successfully, you will get the output because there is no any table with the name called what? Employee. But second time if you run the application, second time means already one time is already available this database, I mean table name called employee. So that's why we had to add one condition here to avoid that exception. That condition is nothing but create table if not exists space employee. Meaning we are specifying explicitly we are specifying create the table if the table is not available. The table is not available, then only create a table. If the table is already available, just ignore that statement, whatever we are writing. Create table if not exists of specify the table name. What is the table name? Employee is a table name we specified. Okay. It's loading still. So now the virtual device is started. Let's run the app now. I want to install the app in emulator. It's loading still. So app is installing the app still. So now the app is installed. Okay. So how will you get the confirmation? We got the output, we got okay, fine. But I want to get the confirmation. I want to get whether it is created a database and table or not. How will you get the confirmation? So if you want to get the confirmation whether table is created or not and database is created or not, so there is a tool called, what is the tool name? ADM is a tool. Android Device Monitor is a tool. By using this Android Device Monitor tool, we can explore that database file. You can explore in your phone storage whether the file is created or not. I mean, database is created or not. And there is a software called SQLite Browser is a software. By using that SQLite Browser software, we can open the database file again. We can see what the database file contains. Okay, this is for the developer confirmation. Basically, user is not required all the things. Basically, as a developer, we had to get the confirmation because I want to write the logic for insert logic. I want to write here. How you will get the confirmation whether the table is created or not? If you want to get that confirmation, there is a tool called what? Android Device Monitor is a tool. So here you can find here there is a tool called Android Device Monitor. Open this Android Device Monitor tool. Open this Android Device Monitor. Okay. So in this Android Device Monitor tool, select the device first. At the left side you can find a device you can find. First select the device. Select the device. Then after that in File Explorer, you can find an option called what? File Explorer is the option. In this File Explorer, You can find an option called data is a folder name. You can find an option called what? Data is a folder. In this data folder, you can find one more folder called data is another folder. In this data folder, you can find one more folder called what? Data is another folder. In this data folder, you can find a folder with the package name. What are the package name we specified for our application? With that package name, you can find a folder you can find here. What is the package name we specified for our application? qx.sqlite test is our application, right? So whatever the package name you specified for your application, with that package name, it is going to generate a folder. It is going to generate here. In this SQLite test folder, you can find a folder called databases is a folder. You can find a folder called what? Databases is a folder name. In this databases folder, you can find a database file. You can find what is the database file name we specified. emp_db is the database file name we specified. emp_db is the database file name we specified. So what are the name you specified for your database? With that name, you can find one database file you can find. Now, first what we had to do is we had to get the database file we had to get. See here, you can find two options you can find. Push a file onto the device and pull a file from the device. Which option you have to take now? You want to put a file in the device, or you want to take a file from the device? You want to take a file, you want to take from the device. So here, let's take an option called pull a file from the device. Pull a file from the device. I'm saving this file, I'm saving on desktop, I'm saving this file. I'm saving this file on my desktop, I'm saving with the name called emp_db is the database name. Let's save the file. Okay, just close it. The Android device monitor. So now here we got the Android, that SQLite database file we got here. We got the SQLite database file we got. emp_db is the database file. If you want to open this database file, if you want to see what this database file contains, if you want to open this database file and if you want to see what this database file contains, there is a software called Sqlite Browser is a software. What is the software name? Sqlite Browser is a software. Okay, so it's a free software only. You can install that Sqlite Browser software to open that Sqlite database files. Let's select this DB browser for SQLite. Here you can find an option called Open Database. Select this Open Database and specify which database file you want to open. The database file is available on desktop. The file name is emp_db is the database file. Let's open this database. So this database file contains two tables. One is the Android metadata is one table. Android what? Metadata is one table. Another thing is employee is another table. There are two tables are there. Android metadata. Another thing is what? Employee is another table. Okay. Meaning now we got the confirmation. There is a database. The database is created as well as table also created in that database. Even if you want to see what are the columns in that particular database, select that particular employee table. You can find the columns you can find. There are 4 columns are there. ID, name, designation, and department. So now we got the confirmation the database is created and the table is also created. Now we can write the logic for this insert. We can write the logic. Let's see, we'll write the logic for insert. If you want to insert the data into database, there is a built-in method for inserting the data, that is database object dot. There is a method called insert is a method. What is the method name? SQLite database object dot insert is a method. So you have to specify 3 parameters. You have to specify here. Total we have to specify 3 parameters. You have to specify. Just select the control button and select that particular method. So you will find the description about that particular method. You will find the description. So what are the parameters you have to pass? 3 parameters you have to pass. What is the table name, null column hack, and the content values? These are the 3 parameters. First parameter easily you can identify. We have to pass the table name. We have to specify. in which table you want to insert the data. Let's see the second parameter. What is the second parameter? Null column hack is the second parameter. And if you see here, beside this null column hack, you can find it's an optional parameter. It's what? It's an optional parameter. SQLite doesn't allow inserting a completely empty row without naming at least one column name. So basically it's an optional parameter. Okay. So and we never use this parameter also in our we never use this in our application development. So just we'll make it as null. Okay. The second parameter, first parameter is a table name. In this insert method, first parameter specify the table name in which table you want to insert the data. I want to insert the data in employee table. I want to insert the data. This is the first thing. I want to insert the data in what? In employee table. I want to insert the data. This is the first thing. Second thing is nothing but we have to specify what? It's an optional parameter. We'll make it null. We'll specify in the second parameter. Third parameter is nothing but content values object we have to create. What is the third parameter? Object of content values. So let's create the object for this content values. Let's create the object for this content values class. Content values is equals to new content values. Let's create the object for what? Let's create the object for content values class. Create the object. Create the object for content values class. Next, use this content values object dot. There is a method called put is a method. Content values object dot put is a method. In this put method, first parameter we had to specify the key we had to specify in the first parameter. Second parameter we had to specify value, which value you want to insert. First parameter is nothing but key. This key means nothing but the column name, in which column you want to insert the data. So in ID column I want to insert the data. Next, see this column name should match in the table name. Otherwise you'll get exception. You'll get there is no column with this. There is no column available in the employee table with this name. So this column names should be same with the column names in which table you are inserting the data. Okay, designation and department. I want to insert the data in employee table. I want to insert the data. I want to insert the data in employee table. I want to insert the data. Okay. The default value I want to insert null. I want to insert the default value. Third parameter is nothing but the object of content values. Third parameter is what? Third parameter is the object of content values object we have to specify in the third parameter. Now here we specified the column name we specified. Second parameter is nothing but the value, which value you want to insert in the ID column. From where we'll get this ID value? We created 4 text boxes we created, right? Edit text 1, edit text 2, edit text 3, and edit text 4. We created 4 text boxes we created. We want to get the data from that text boxes. We want to get the data. So here, ID column we'll get from edit text 1 component we'll get et1.getText.toString. The name column we'll get from edit text 2 component we'll get et2.getText.toString, and the designation column I want to get from edit text 3 column I want to get the data et3.getText.toString, and department I want to get from edit text 4 component I want to get, so et4.getText.toString. Okay, so create the object for content values. First parameter we specified the column name we specified, and second parameter we specified what? From where we are getting the value. But if you see the database here, while we are creating a database, the ID column we specified the type as a number type. Correct or not? While we are creating a database, we specified the column type we specified as it's a number type. But while you are inserting here, we specified we are inserting the string we are inserting. So it will not accept. So what we had to do is we had to convert this string. This string we had to convert into an integer format. We had to convert. So let's convert the string into integer. Integer dot parseInt is a method. integer dot parseInt is a method, et1 dot getText dot toString. Okay, so we are converting the string, we are converting into an integer format, we are converting. Okay, and we are inserting the, because we specified the ID type in our database as a number type. That's why we are converting the string into integer and we are inserting that one. Okay, we are calling a method, we are calling SQLite Database object dot insert is a method. Table name we specified, null, so optional parameter. Third thing is nothing but what is the object of content values, what is the column name and what is the actual value. But here, problem is nothing but how you will get the confirmation whether record is inserted or not. How you will get the confirmation whether the record is inserted or not. Return type of this insert method. How we will get the confirmation is return type of this insert method is nothing but int is a return type. What is the return type? Integer is a return type of this insert method. So int count is equals to int what? Count is sorry, it's not int. Basically, return type of this method is nothing but long is a return type. Return type of this method is what? Long is a return type. Long count is equals to SQLite database object dot insert is a method. Okay, so mean how many records are affected with this query? You will get that count. You will get based on that count. We have to identify whether the data is inserted or it's not inserted. It's simple, boss. If this count is greater than 0, because if the data is inserted, you will get it should be by default the count is 0 by default. The data is inserted, the count is going to be updated to a positive values, otherwise by default it is what? It's 0. If the count is greater than 0, meaning if at least one record is inserted with this query, you'll get the count is going to increase, not the 0, meaning data is what? Inserted. So we'll display message, will display to the user toast.makeText get application context, and will display message, will display to the user, that is data is inserted, or will display message, will display called record is inserted. Will display message, will display called what? Record inserted message will display. The last parameter is length underscore long dot show is the method. Record inserted, and we are displaying what? A toast message we are displaying. Okay, so after inserting the data, we don't require that, still we don't require the data, we don't require in these text boxes. So we'll make, what we'll do is we'll make all the text boxes empty. We'll make, so et1 dot set text, okay, the data is inserted, we'll get the count is, we'll get the positive value, not the count is going to be increased. The count is at least greater than 0, meaning one record is inserted. We are displaying the data, we are displaying in a toast message, and after that we are making all the text boxes, we are making empty, we are making else the data is not inserted. If the data is not inserted, we'll display toast message, will display toast.makeText get application context, will display a message fail to update, so fail to insert dot show. The record is inserted, we are displaying a message, we are displaying a message called record is what? Inserted. The record is not inserted, then we are displaying a message called what? Fail to insert. Okay, so now we'll test the application. Let's see whether it is inserting the data in the database or not. We'll test once. Let's run the application. Let's run the app, emulator. Okay. So first specify the ID. What is the ID? Name. So what is the name and designation and department? Okay. So once if you click this insert button, write the data into SQLite database. We are displaying a toast message. Record is what? Inserted. After inserting the data, then we are making all the text boxes. We are making what? Empty. We are making all the text boxes. So when user clicks the insert button, we are writing the data into database. After that, we are making all the text boxes what? Empty. We are making all the text boxes. Record is what? Inserted. So now two records we inserted. Two records we inserted in the SQLite database. We inserted two records. Okay. So now this is the insert logic. Simple was there is a method called insert. Specify the table name, optional parameter, the content values object. In the content values object, we specified what is the column name and what is the value you want to insert in that particular column. Okay. Return type of this insert method is nothing but it's a long type. Based on this type, we are identifying whether its data is inserted or not inserted. Based on this counter, the number of records, if the records are inserted, you will get count positive value you will get. If it is greater than 0, it's inserted, otherwise it's not, fail to insert. So now we'll see the logic for reading. We'll see how to read the data from the SQLite database. Simple, if you want to read the data from the database, there is a method called database object dot. Your SQLite database object dot query is a method. SQLite database object dot, what is the method name? Query is a method to read the data from the database. SQLite database object dot query is a method. So now in this query method, we have to specify the table name. We have to specify from which table you want to read the data. Let's specify the table name in the query method. I want to read the data from employee table. I want to read the data. So first parameter we have to specify the table name. We have to specify total here in this query method. Let's see here how many parameters we have to pass. See, if you select this control button and if you go to the implementation, if you go here, there are a lot of parameters you have to pass. Let's take the second one, not the second one, third one. See, in this query method, first parameter is nothing but the table name. From which table you want to read the data, we have to specify the table name. We have to specify in the first parameter. Second parameter is nothing but number of columns. From which columns you want to read the data, you have to specify the column names. You have to specify a list of which columns to return. Passing null will return all the columns. Okay. Third parameter is nothing but selection. If you want to read any particular record, if you want to read, then we use this selection and selection args. Okay. So third parameter and fourth parameter. Group by a filter declaring how to. So this total there are almost 7 parameters are there as a input. Table name, columns, selection args, group by, having, order by. If you are having the huge amount of data, if you want to get the response in ascending order, so then we use this order by parameter. A filter declares which row groups having. So a lot of parameters are there. Total 7 parameters we have to pass. First parameter I am specifying as a table name. I want to read the data from this employee table. I want to read the data. Remaining all the 6 parameters I'm making it null, meaning in my example I don't require all these group by, order by, having and all. So remaining all the 6 parameters I'm specifying as what? Null I'm specifying. Okay, first parameter I specified only the table name. Second parameter is nothing but the number of columns. See, if you have a requirement of reading only some particular columns, then you can specify the column names here. It's a string array. We had to create a string array. In this string array, let's specify the column names. I want to get the data from ID column, and I want to get the data from name column. I want to get the data, or I want to get the data from department column. I want to get the data. If you have a requirement of getting the data from the specific columns, then specify the column names here. So that you'll get only that particular columns data only you'll get. No, if you want, if you have a requirement of reading all the columns data, then make it null. Null is going to return all the column values it is going to return. Okay. Okay. By using this statement, we are going to get the data from the SQLite database table. By using this query method, we'll get the data from the what? Data from SQLite database table. A return type of this query method, return type of this database.query method is nothing but cursor object is a return type. What is the return type of this method? Return type of this method is nothing but cursor object is a return type. Meaning you will get the data you will get from the SQLite database. Now we stored that entire data, we stored into the cursor object, we stored the entire data. I mean this cursor object contains the data now. This cursor object contains the entire data. What is the guarantee you got some records you got from the database? Or do you know how many records are available? Or how many records you got from the database? We don't know that. First of all, we don't know whether its data is available in that particular table or not. Okay, some data is available, but can you estimate how many records are available in that? No, right? So return type of this query method is nothing but cursor object is a return type, meaning the entire data we stored into the cursor object, we stored the entire data. Cursor means nothing but, see, always the cursor is going to point to -1 boss. Initially, okay, we got some data we got from the database. We got the data we got from the database. Give me a second. We got the data we got from the database. Okay, so initially, always the cursor is going to point to what? -1. Always the cursor will point to -1. This is the cursor initial location. This is what? The cursor initial location, that is -1. So what we had to do is, we had to check whether is there any record is there or not in the 0 index or first index or second index and third index. So if you want to get that information, if you want to get whether is there any record is there in the 0 index, there is a method called move to next is a method. The cursor object dot move to next is a method. So whenever you call cursor object dot move to next method, the cursor point will comes to the next position. Initially it is -1, right? It is going to come to the next position. It is going to come. What is the next position? 0 is the next position. It is going to check is there any record in the 0 index. If it is yes, record is there in the 0 index. This move to next return type is nothing but it's a true. I mean boolean type it is. The record is available. It's going to return true. Otherwise, it is going to return what? False. Okay. Next record we got. I want to check whether is there some more records are available. So again, you had to call, once again, you had to call move to next, move to next, move to next, move to next. Like this, you had to call continuously until how many records are available. That many times you have to call this one. So it's a repeated process. It is a repeated process. It is moving to the next, moving to the next tags until the end of the row. We have to move them. So that's why what we have to do is let's put the logic in a loop. Let's put the logic in a loop while c dot move to next mean move to the next rows until the end of the. So it's a repeated process. I mean we have to check continuously. Is there any next record? Is there next record? Is there next record? Is there? That's why we put in a loop we put. Okay. Now how many rows are there? For example, from database you got 10 records you got. So 10 times this loop is going to be repeated. Now we had to read that data we had to read. For example here toes dot make text is a method. Get application context is a method name. Get application context is a method name. Third parameter is the duration. Second parameter is nothing but we have to specify message. You have to specify. Second parameter we have to specify what? Message. You have to specify what is the message you want to display. See here the cursor object dot Cursor object dot get string is a method. Cursor object dot see. First thing is not a string type. It's a ID. We specify the column type as a number. So here the data type should be what? It's an integer. So get int. We had to specify the column index. We had to specify. See ID column. What is the ID column index? 0 is the ID column index. 0 is the ID column index. So let's make it 0 plus slash n, just because I want to print in next line I want to print. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, just give me a minute, I'll get back. Okay, so we specify the column. I mean column index we have to specify. We want to get the data from ID column. We want to get the column index is 0 is ID column index. Okay, next I want to get the name column I want to get. So c dot get string is get string. So first column index. C dot get string of C dot get string of what? 3. Okay. So here we are reading the data. Now this loop is going to be repeat. How many records are available? That may time this loop is going to be repeat. We are reading that. We are getting the data we are getting, and we are displaying the data we are displaying in a toast message we are displaying. Okay. Let's run the application now. Just we are getting by using the column index we are reading the data. Why appending this slash n? Because just to print in the next line. That's it. Okay. So click on this read button. So once if you click on this read button, we are reading the data from the table. We are reading the data. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 4. Okay. So only 2 records are there in the database. There are only 2 records are there in the database. That's why we got only 2 toast messages we got. If you are having multiple records, how many records are there? That many messages will get here. Toast messages. Okay. This is reading the data from the SQLite. But my requirement is, for example, if I select the read button, I don't want to read all the records I don't want to read. I want to read only particular record like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4. I want to read a particular record I want to read. I don't want to read all the records I don't want to read. I want to read a particular record I want to read. So if you want to read any particular record, if you want to read, the third parameter, meaning in this query method, first parameter is a table name. Third parameter is what? It's a column names you have to specify. This third parameter is nothing but where condition and where args. Third parameter is a where condition. Fourth parameter is a where args. See the third parameter, let's specify here. Okay, you want to read only a particular record you want to read, whose ID is equals to some specific ID will specify. So let's make it here. ID is equals to question mark I specified. ID is equals to what? Question mark I specified. I want to read a particular record I want to read from the employee table, whose ID is equals to question mark. Now here in place of question mark, now in place of this question mark, whatever the value you want to place in place of that question mark, you have to specify that value in the fourth parameter. So it's a multiple parameters you can pass. So that's why you had to create a string array. We had to create in this string array. Let's specify here. In the fourth parameter is a string array. In this string array, let's specify what is the value you want to place in place of this question mark. Boss, you are passing only one parameter. You are passing. Why you are taking as a string array? Because of course, maybe right now I'm taking only one parameter here. Maybe in future I'll get a requirement whose ID is equals to question 123 and whose department is equals to some XYZ. At that time, how many parameters we had to pass? We had to pass name, we had to pass, and we had to pass the department also. We had to pass. So that's why. So here the fourth parameter is a string array. Even though if your requirement is passing only one parameter, but it's mandatory, we have to create a string array. We have to create in this string array. Let's specify what is the value you want to place in place of this question mark. That value you will get from edit text one component. We will get et1 dot get text dot string. Have you understand this statement? The third one. I mean, like where condition. We'll write the where condition, right? I want to read select star from employee where ID is equals to 123. I mean that where condition is specified in the third parameter. ID is equals to question mark. Now in place of that question mark, that value we define in the fourth parameter, we define that value. Okay. So now let's run the application. Now you will not get all the records. You will not get. You will get only one particular record. You will get whatever the ID is specified in the text box. Only that particular record only you will get. For example, I specified 1 to 3. I specified here. I specified 1 to 3. I specified, and when you click on this read button, now you will not get all the records. You will not get. You will not get all the records. You will not get whatever the ID you specified here. Only that particular record only you can read. 1, 2, 4. Only that particular record only will read. We cannot will not read the all the records. We will not read. Okay, that is specifying. I mean specifying the where condition. Third parameter is specified. ID is equal to question mark. In place of the question mark, whatever the value you want to replace, so we place the value in the fourth parameter, the whereas. So this is how to read all the records and how to read a particular record. Okay. So next, what is the next one? Update. Even this update is also database is providing a built-in method for this update operation. So method name is nothing but SQLite Database object dot. There is a method called update is a method. What is the method name? Update is a method. We had to pass four parameters. We had to pass to this update method. First parameter is nothing but the table name. We had to specify the table name. We had to specify in which table you want to update the data. I want to update the data in employee table. I want to update the data. That is the first thing. We specified the table name. We specified in which table you want to update the data. Which table you want to update the data? Employee table. We want to update the data. That is the first parameter. Second parameter is nothing but content values object. I mean, what are all the columns you want to update? Like you want to update the name column, designation column, department column. What are all the columns you want to update? Let's specify the content. Let's specify the content values object. Like we already used the content values in the insert operation. Let's create the object for this content values and specify here in the update method also. Okay, in this update method, first parameter we specified the table name we specified. Second parameter is the content values object. In this content values, specify what are all the columns you want to update. My requirement is I want to update the name column I want to update. I want to update the name column I want to update, designation column I want to update, and department column I want to update. Okay. The second parameter we have to specify the content values object we have to specify in the second parameter. Okay, you want to update the name column, designation column, department column, you want to update the data. Okay, fine. In which record you want to update? In which record I want to update? I'll specify that one by using the ID tag. Let's specify ID is equals to question mark. I want to update the data in employee column. I want employee table. I want to update the data. These are all the columns I want to update. These are all the three columns I want to update, and in which column by using which parameter id is equals to question mark. I'll specify that one in the id which column which date which record I want to update. Now in place of this question mark we have to specify the value. We'll get the value from the edit text component. Let's create a string array. Let's create what? A string array and get the value from this edit text one component et1.getText.toString. So I want to update the employee table. I want to update the data. These are all the three columns I want to update. Which column you want to update, I'll specify by using id. So here also same thing. How you will get the confirmation whether the data is updated or not. Here also same thing. The return type of this method is nothing but long is a return type. What is the return type? Long is a return type of this method. Count is equals to database dot update is a method. Return type of this method is what? Long is a return type. If this count is greater than 0, meaning data is updated. The count is not greater than 0, meaning record is not updated. We'll write the logic here. Simple. If this count is greater than 0, we'll display a toast message. Data is what? Updated. Data is updated. Specify the duration dot else. The count is greater than 0, data is what? Updated. Else what? Data is not updated. If this count is not greater than 0 means the record is not found to update. So here we'll display a message fail to update. Fail to what? Update. Okay. This is the update logic. We'll test the update logic. We'll write the logic at a time for delete also because it's simple. Delete logic. Database object dot delete is a method. We have to specify in which table you want to delete the record. Employee table. By using which column you are reading, you have to specify here. By using id column we are reading. Id is equals to question mark. Now in place of this question mark, what is the value you want to place? Let's specify the value here. Let's create a string array and specify from where you are getting the value. et1.getText.toString. In place of this question mark, I'm specifying here id value I'm getting from edit text one component I'm getting. Here also same thing. The return type of this method is nothing but long is the return type of this method. Long is the return type of this method. You'll get the count, you'll get how many records are deleted. If this count is greater than 0 means record is what? Deleted. The count is not greater than 0 means record is not deleted. So data is deleted, fail to delete. That's it. If this count is greater than 0, data is deleted. Otherwise, fail to delete. Okay. So now we'll test both. Update and delete. We'll test both at a time. Let's run the application. Okay. Now see here, when 1, 2, 3 is specified, 1, 2, 3 click on this read button. We got 1, 2, 3 Mahesh TL mobility. This is the data is available, right? 1, 2, 3 Mahesh TL and mobility this is the data. Now I want to update this data. So earlier it's having only Mahesh. Now I want to update this one to Mahesh Tippala. I want to update. This is the first one. So designation in place of TL, I want to give the complete description I want to give. Meaning we are updating the data. Earlier it's only Mahesh, TL, mobility. Now updating that one to Mahesh Tippala, tech lead and mobility. Let's click on this update button. We got a message, we got data is what? Data is updated. Record is what? Record is updated. Now if you click on this read button, if you click 1, 2, 3 Mahesh, tech lead and mobility. Now we got the updated data we got. And we got the updated data we got. So once if you click on this delete button, it's going to remove that particular record. It's going to remove. I'm selecting this delete button. I'm selecting. Data is what? Data is deleted. Now if you try to read, earlier we got the updated data we got, right? Now we select the delete button is selected. The data is deleted. Now if you try to read this data, see we are not getting any message. You are not getting because there is no any records. There is no any records with this 1 to 3. That's why we are not getting any records. We are not getting. Okay, this is how to perform the CRUD operations on the SQLite database. This is what how to perform the CRUD operations on the SQLite database. Okay, so let me know if you have any queries. Any queries?